today on the channel we're going to be having a look and reviewing one of the biggest and latest Phantom books to come out. We're going to be reviewing The Phantom, the complete newspaper dailies, volume 27. And these dailies were featured in the years 1977 to 1978. And it's going to be awesome Lee Falk and Cy Barry awesomeness. Look at that amazing panel is featured on the front cover. It's such awesomeness. Yay, yay, cheer, cheer. Awesome stuff. This book was published by Hermes Press, and let's get into it. One of the biggest things that we see in this book is that the presentation is so very well done. It's very well done. Like we've got a little over here, we've got a little bit of an excerpt about the Phantom, and each volume of this series is packed with action, adventure, and humor as only Phantom creator Lee Falk could offer. And it tells us a bit about the collection and a bit about the Phantom as well. With the credits, we have the introduction, and on page 4 we have an introduction, a dinner with the ultimate fiend. Now I'm going to read this introduction because this introduction is very well done, and I won't spoil this introduction as I might have in the past. I would have. And let's have a read. I was having dinner with some friends in a nice little Italian restaurant. We were having the usual dinner conversations, everything from Napoleon's retreat from Moscow to DC Comics in the late 1950s. Then the conversation turned to the Phantom's wedding in 1977. I asked my two friends sitting across from me what they thought. Of course, they loved the story because they're both die-hard Phantom fans. I then asked my friend sitting next to me what he thought of it. Before I could tell you what he said, I'll let you on a little secret. Between you and me, my friend is one of those know-it-alls when it comes to the Phantom. Truth be told, he pretty much does know it all, and he's an encyclopedia when it comes to the character. I even think sometimes he's just showing off a little. I mean, really, I've seen Lee Falk in New York a few times, and while I've never really talked to him, I've heard him speak. I know every real artist, publisher, you name it. Hell, I even know artist André LeBlanc, who was the man who personally worked on the wedding of the Phantom. He gave me a lot of insight into creating the story, so I know my stuff certainly much better than a lot of these so-called Phantom experts who only know how to Google some information. But honestly, my friend is a great guy, the kind of friend most people wish they had. You see, he's been around for a very long time, and actually knew Lee Falk personally. You could even say the Phantom perspective that he knew Falk better than anyone else. He told me he thought the story was fantastic, and we then went back and forth talking about the intricate details of the story. I asked him if it was true that Falk wanted the Phantom to get married because Falk himself was getting married at the time. What insights into the story did he know that no one else but him and Falk could have known and talked about? What last minute changes were made to the script, and on went the questions and the discussion. He gave me his input, and he turned around and asked me what I thought of the story. I said, well, personally, I like it now. He said, what's that mean now? I told him when I first heard about the Phantom getting married, I was totally against it. It was everything I didn't want in my hero to be. He couldn't believe what he was hearing and said, "Tell me why." I said, "It's a long story," and he said, "I've got time." I said, "Let me start from the beginning." In the summer of 1977, I was 9 years old and New York City was alive. The Yankees were on their way to back-to-back World Series on the shoulders of my hero, number 44, Reggie Jackson. School was out and I was an ordinary city kid. My life was summer camp Monday through to Friday, with swimming, sports and more sports, and of course comic books. My Saturdays were filled with cartoons all morning, and to complete the rotting of my brain, kung fu films in the afternoon. And then it was off to play outside with my friends. And every day the newspaper would be delivered to our house. Once my dad and granddad were finished with it, it was all mine. That's when I read my Phantom stories. The character was with my family my whole life. My grandparents had read the Phantom comic strip when they were kids. Then they had read it to their kids. Then my grandma would read them to me. Once I could read on my own, I was hooked. That summer, the daily story was The Guardian of the Eastern Dark. Legendary story, by the way. And the Sunday story was The Hunters. My life was great. One day I was watching the $6 Million Man on TV, and during a commercial my grandma came into my room with a Spanish magazine. She showed me an article with pictures of the Phantom. I couldn't read Spanish, so she translated the headline for me. "Ghost 2 orcs will wed later this year." It took a while for my 9-year-old brain to process what that meant. All I knew was that marriage spelled down to any cool single dude. It reminded me of a cousin who was about 7 years older than me at the time. Whenever he'd come and stay at our house for the summer, he always had the latest comic books, games, baseball gloves, and magazines. Since he was older, we were allowed to go with him and see the latest movies and whatnot, and he was awesome. Then one summer he didn't come to stay with us. I was told he was engaged, whatever that meant. Then the summer after that, he didn't come either. I was told he got married after that. We never hung out again. So to my 9-year-old brain, my 9-year-old me, marriage sucked the coolness out of you. It made you boring, and it didn't allow you to have fun. No, sir, that was not going to happen to my Phantom. Someone had to put a stop to it, and that, ladies and gentlemen, was going to be me. I begged my grandmother to take me to the King Features Syndicate KFS office here in Midtown Manhattan. I needed to give someone there an earful, but my grandma, convinced me to write a very stern letter instead, and believe me, KFS would get a piece of my mind. She helped me write the letter, and then when she promised to drop it in the mailbox the next morning. Then for the next couple of months, there was no mention of the wedding. Sometimes you have to put your foot down, and really believed that my letter set those people straight. I was able to be a happy kid again. I remember that fall, the Sunday story, the Delta Pirates was coming to an end. One day, the newspaper was dropped off our doorstep as usual, and I picked it up and put it on the table as I normally would. I remember it was a little earlier than usual. My dad was still sleeping, my grandpa was in the shower. There was an unwritten rule in the house. Actually, it was more like a word of God. You don't mess with the paper until the grown-ups had finished with it. But my grandma had taught me a way of peeking inside the Sunday paper without wrinkling it. That was our secret. So I took a peek at the Phantom story in a way only a ninja master like me could do. I knew the current story was coming to an end, and it was a big deal whenever the new story title was announced in the last panel. Sometimes I needed the comics section in all its glory, for in all its glorious colour. I saw the Phantom had cornered the pirates with help from the Jungle Patrol. Awesome. Then my hero left in one of the pirates' speedboats with a policeman yelling at him, "Wait! Well, we'll need your testimony." The Phantom answered, "You got it. I can't wait. I'm getting married." My jaw dropped. Then I saw these horrifying words filling in the name of next week's story. "Wedding of the Phantom." And the exclamation mark says, "No!" Well, eventually I had to man up and accept that it was going to happen, and I couldn't stop it. But in the meantime, and back to the dinner, we had finished dinner and dessert, and then we all got in a car and for the ride home. I dropped off my friend and his son at the hotel. We said our goodbyes, and we all planned to meet up the next day at a comic book convention. I gave my friends a hug and I said, "I'll see you tomorrow." My friend's name, well, it's none other than Cy Barry himself. Well, how would you be like having a dinner with the ultimate fan? And this introduction was wrote by none other than Jamie Diaz. That is just, when I first read this introduction, it's very, very good for a fan to read something like that, because you wouldn't really have that experience, but yeah, it's awesome. The introduction was awesome, and Jamie Diaz has once again delivered some awesomeness. Delivered the awesomeness. That was awesome. And now we have the Triumph of Tarakimo. It started in August 15. Started on August the 15th, 1977, and finished on October 29, 1977. So pretty much only went for 2 months. The Phantom, Triumph of Tarakimo. Now, one of the first things we're going to have to talk about is that the presentation of this book is very, very beautiful. The presentation of this book is beautiful. The artwork, even so, is magical, beautiful, and even if you had to put a word on it, it looks fantastic. Like, look at that guy's mustache. 12 of the mustache hairs. Look at that fantastical mustache. That's awesome. That is awesome. That is awesome. And then we have the story, the good old classic story, The Golden Beach of Kilauea, the wedding night, and it's continued. Like, I had a look at this book the first time I saw it. The presentation of these panels and the black and white and all the high quality paper that Hermes Press is using at the moment is awesome. It's fantastic. And then next week, new adventure. Like, look at the black and white, look at that last black and white panel. It's real, I'm married, and look at that. Just magical, just as Jamie would say in the dinner with Cy Barry. No, I'm married. Soon. Well, They've had a week's head start. We've got to move fast, fellas. So good. And then we have another story. It's called The Three Bandits. This current story that we're talking about, it's been published that many times in comic books. It's just very, very funny. Like, you'll be sitting down to a good old in your good old armchair, and you might be reading the good old Three Bandits, and then you just say, oh yeah, I know how this story's going to end. Most of the stories in the Phantom, like back in the old days, most of these Phantom stories, if you've read a few of them, which I've said this before, if you've read a few of them, you gotta know what's gonna potentially happen. Like, I sometimes know what's gonna happen before it actually happens. This Phantom story is called The Return of Tarakimo, and I'm guessing this is the sequel to the first story we'd seen, which is Terror in Tarakimo. Beautiful, beautiful art. Absolute beautiful art. And great presentation. So this book is probably over 200 pages full, or maybe just before that. So good. Who did this to me? It's a mistake. You know who did it to us. You! How do you like it, General? The Tyrant is finished. Free us! Freedom! And then, look at that panel. Awesome. Awesome. It gets even awesomer. It's going awesome. Beginning of the Jungle City. So we've got a new story. Even looks even amazing. Art is pristine. And it is so very, very good. Like, I haven't said this before, but like the page quality is like that sort of glossy type paper that you see in like other type of collections when a person is collecting the whole entire series. So right now I'm collecting the whole entire series of the Complete Peanuts. So compare the Complete Peanuts, not story wise, but like the paper in this book is it's like a matte silverish type paper compared to the Phantom, and the Phantom is sort of more of a glossy type paper. So yeah, it's awesome. Love Peanuts. Absolutely love them. This book in total is over 215 pages long. We have the same sort of exterior on the back at the end of the book with the skull marks and whatnot, with the skull mark, the Phantom skull mark. And we also have a little side thingo for the Phantom. And this book is The Phantom, the Complete Newspaper Dailies, Volume 27. And that was my review of this amazing, fantastical book that I have just received. And it goes without doubt that these books are second to none. The quality is so very, very good. No wonder why the price of these books is so high, because the quality matches, in some terms it matches the price, but in some times the price, if the quality isn't up there, the price then sort of doesn't really tell you the whole picture. But in this case, it's not that, it is This book is so very, very well done. So congratulations to Hermes Press and the work that they've been doing on these books, like the complete newspaper dailies and the work that they've been doing on the Sunday books as well. Congratulations, and your work that you've put into these types of books does get appreciated by all Phantom fans around the globe, and of course me as well. And as always, what is your opinion on the Phantom wedding story? What is your opinion on that? And as always, keep Phantom caving, stay safe, and you will see me in another review and another video.